Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. This is going to be CBR number 2, the women's P123 race. And yeah, this is a banger for sure. This is definitely the best race of the weekend. I know some people may argue that, but no, this was definitely the best race of the weekend and probably one of the best women's races I've seen in a long time. So, first of all, I want to give a shout out to the Rough Ranch and A Faster Me for throwing an extra $500 into the pot for the women. Just to spice it up a little bit, make some hot laps at the end, and yeah, just some incentive. We had a big field, roughly 40 riders. So yeah, we think it was definitely, along with Jeff, from CBR, Jeff Prince. We kind of got together and said, hey, let's kind of do something for the women, and we threw in an extra $500. Luckily, we got a lot of it back, but but yeah, we threw in an extra $500. It was a big turnout, and we definitely want to try to keep building and capitalize on the momentum we have in women's racing, and especially in this P123 field. Southern California has some very fast women, fast crits, and it's really good to see people from other areas coming out to enjoy the warm weather and get some seat time in. So anyway, we're at the Carson side here, and it's going counterclockwise, kind of a little monkey wrench in our plans. We originally thought it was going clockwise, but we're going counterclockwise today. That's Morgan James in front of me here, or in front of the camera here, with Anastasia out front leading it. And we have 7 women in this race, so we have a pretty good sized team. We got Anastasia, Morgan, Naomi, Carolina, Jesse, Sarah, and Audrey in this race. So we definitely have close to a full lineup, and it pays off. The more bodies you can throw at, a problem and find a solution, gives you a little bit of an advantage there. We got also In Cycle Mommies have a pretty full team. We actually, there's a lot of people with teams in here. We just have I think we have about the same as In Cycle. Maybe we have one more. I don't know if they had 6 or 7. But yeah, there's some other teams as well in here. You got, Go Fast and PWR. You got, I can't even think of everybody right now. Sorry. But yeah, we have a stacked team. I mean, a good lineup of decent amount of teams. And we have some stacked individuals, some high-powered individuals, that race on the national scene. We always have Colleen Gullick, which we already know that she's a legend, no matter where she's racing. Holly Bragg, you got Kenna Pfeiffer. Yeah, just a lot of women, a lot of national champs and old ex-national champs, and including PC. PC's like a super smart, savvy racer. I love talking to her and about racing, and love it when their girls are out there, because I know anytime the mommies are in a race, and these last couple years with us in a race, it's going to be a pretty good fight. So there goes Holly, I believe it is, with the first attack there off the right side. Also, this is Elisa's camera. Elisa rode for us last year, and this was our first time seeing her in a while, and some of my girls do not have camera mounts. So, I asked Elisa if I could throw a camera on her bike and just get another perspective. So I got a camera on Morgan, I got a camera on Elisa, and Naomi had a camera on too, but it ended up not recording. So we only have 2, points of view for this race. So yeah, this is going to be a very spicy race, and it was a pretty spicy weekend with all the races. Very hard. It's a windy day. Obviously, the camera's probably not going to give it justice like it never does, but it's I wouldn't say very windy. It's, how do I say, it's windy enough to make it a difficult race. In my race, I raced at 9 o'clock earlier in the day in the 50-plus Masters category, and, we had a pretty strong headwind on the front straight. And I believe for this race, they have the opposite. I think they have a headwind after you make the left-hand turn here in turn 2. I think they had a headwind on the back straight and a little bit of a tailwind on the start-finish line. So that's Felicia right there in the blue in front of us with Carla to her right from PWR. Carla's been having a good season. I can't remember if she won both the Cat 3 races or I think she won. Oh, no, she won one. And then I think, she came in second in another. But she's been having a good season. She's a strong rider as well. So the beginning of this race, other than that attack collie just took off with, it starts pretty chill. It's a big field. It's early in the season. I think people are just kind of feeling out like, hey, what's going on? What's the pace going to be today? Who's going to be the top players? We know who the top names are, but honestly, when you get a big field like this and, we're an up-and-coming team, the mommies have a lot of experience and they're always dangerous. So I think with just these large numbers, it kind of throws a monkey wrench into it a little bit and it gets a little bit unpredictable. So we had a game plan, and our original game plan was trying to create a little bit of a break. I don't want to give all of our secrets away, but we wanted to try to create a break, and then hopefully we can get Morgan to bridge to that break. And things don't always work out as planned. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. So like I said, when you have a big field like this and so many capable riders, your game plan can go out the window really quick. So anyway, that's Sarah right there in front of us. Sarah does a great job for us. I'm 100% glad that she's a member of our team. She's been compliant with everything, and I'm pretty strict with certain things. So Sarah's definitely been a blessing. So as you can see, it's kind of group ride pace right now. Like I said, once you turn this the second turn here, which this is the fastest turn on the course, pretty steep downhill if you can see by the grade there. But once you turn this hill here, it's pretty stiff headwind, I think, for this race, which makes it good for some of these attacks, especially with the little kicker here. It makes it good to carry your momentum from that turn 2 into the headwind here and get a little bit of separation if you can. Yeah, but I think if you're able to watch this race or even watch the live stream from LA Crits, obviously, Ray has multiple cameras and a drone, so he's going to have some better coverage than what I can provide for you here. I'd like to provide the racer's perspective and, give a little commentary over it just to kind of explain what we have going on with our team and then what I can see from others. And, it was a very, very dynamic race. A lot of tactics in it, a lot of countering, a lot of attacks, a little bit of teamwork here and there, and just very competitive race in a very large field for this early in the season for a local race. You can see when the field is larger like this, it can become difficult very fast. Just 40 riders, they can stretch out pretty far. You can stretch out, a good, tenth of a mile or something just with 40 riders once the pace gets hot. And it makes it very difficult when you're at the back of the pack to then make up any spots. You can see it's bunched up now, so the speed's kind of low. This corner here is a good 30-mile-per-hour corner. They're down, to 24 right now, so nothing's really happening here. Also being early in the season, like you see Tyler Mize right here, or Mays. I always butcher her name. I don't know why. I got to go get a lesson from her and just have her pronounce it for me, stamp it on my forehead or something, and I'll get it right. But Go Fast, they have new kits, and sometimes I don't recognize everybody right now, So it might take me a second to recognize who's who, but, in another week or so, we should have it pretty, memorized pretty well here. That's Jade in the Major Motion kit. So you see Colleen right there takes off. That's another attack here. Actually, she's actually covering an attack, and I think it may be Holly again, if I remember correctly. I can't remember if it was Holly or Anastasia this time that took off, because Anastasia had a pretty good lead, at one point, and we were sleeping. We were sleeping on our job. We didn't. She didn't have a. Nope. There's Anastasia there, so it wasn't her this time. But at one point, Anastasia's goes off the front, has a pretty good gap. I think she had over a 20-second gap, and we were kind of asleep early in the race, and we weren't there to kind of support that breakaway. That's Reagan right there in front of the camera. It's good to see her back racing again as well. I think this is the first race of the season for her. And here's Kat Kendall too. Kat's very strong. She has a really good long sprint. I'm sure she's good at other things too, but that's the thing that I remember her for. Is she has a pretty good long sprint, almost like a one-lap attack kind of deal. And she's having a good season as well in the Cat 3 category. So Elisa's kind of hanging out at the back, but like I said, it's early, and you can see Holly's like kind of in front of her. I think Kenna is back here with her as well. So, some of the big hitters just far back like this. Sometimes you don't have much to worry about, and that's what you look at. You're like, hey, if some of the big hitters are back here, they're not worried about what's going on up front. So sometimes you can relax and say, I don't really need to be worried about what's going on up front either. Because I know if it's something really dangerous, these girls are going to move. They're not going to sit back here passively while something dangerous goes off the front. And sometimes that's let's say that's a risky calculation sometimes, But at the same time, when you're racing solo, kind of like Holly's racing solo, Kenna's racing solo, you can't cover everything. You just can't. And sometimes you have to make a decision on what looks like a threat and what doesn't. There goes a new team right there, Aya. I'm probably going to still say it wrong because my Spanish sucks, but that's, Camilla and Priscilla, both really strong. Aaron runs that team, and, Aaron's been great. He's been great for me as well. I worked with Aaron a little bit with LABA. They've supported me with, starting my own team. And just been there to support us on our trips and stuff like that, and just anything kind of we've needed from that whole family there. But yeah, they have a squad out, and it's good to see them as well. Like I said, it's everybody's pretty well represented in my opinion here. Obviously, like I said, the mommies in AFM have the most riders, but it only takes a few for you to run tactics pretty well. There's Courtney moving up on the left side. Courtney's super strong as well. It's good to see her back. She had a crash, in the off season here that could be kind of scary. Anytime you go down and have some injuries, you kind of reflect on life and all that kind of stuff. And, it's great to see her back, and obviously she's super strong. I was actually worried about Courtney on this day. I just knew this day was going to end up being a breakaway, and, prepping for the race. I told some of the members on my team, like, that's someone that not only do we have to worry about, that I would love to be in a break with her. She's someone that I believe in a break, no matter what field she's in, she does have a chance to go the distance. So, I was looking at her as a frenemy, and, we would have loved to have been in that break with her. And then it turns out that, they have just bullets. They have multiple bullets. They can fire from any barrel, and they have some strength on the team. So we got a little bit surprised today with Paige when Paige goes off the front, and I didn't know Paige up until today. I think I've heard her name before, but I didn't know her and hadn't seen what she can do. So today was a little bit of an eye opener for me, and I definitely will never forget it. So yeah, still pretty passive. You guys know my style here. I kind of like to play the whole video, so it is long. I like to give everyone a chance to see, like, from start to finish what went on in the race. And for me, I like tactics and stuff like that, and just all of the little things of racing. So that's kind of what I represent and what I like to put out. So if you see here, Holly and Kenna are kind of hanging out here, or they're going to be hanging out here, and then Holly attacks. So I don't know. I think they're in cahoots a little bit there. Maybe, maybe not. But I thought Holly had said something to her, before the attack goes off. You can definitely see it was an explosive attack. The speed's up pretty high right now. They're already at 30 miles per hour going into turn 3. And this is slightly uphill, as you can see, at the 1.5%. So if you're over 30 miles per hour with that false flat there, it's a pretty tough effort. And I think, yeah, there's Anastasia there. So that's the time that Anastasia was off the front there. It's just, like I said, I don't have enough camera angles to know what's going on sometimes off the front. But I think, we were just a little bit out of position. As you can see, Carolina is shooting up the left side here. So we didn't have representation at the front at the time to support that initial break. It was really early in the race, too. So, it's usually something that's not going to stick from that early in the race. But we always want to be well represented at the pointy end of the peloton. And you see Carolina, her strength, like just how fast and strong she is to, work her way back up to that front group already. There's a little bit of a gap opening here, so Elisa goes around. It's good momentum here, carrying that apex there and just picking the right angle to be able to carry speed there. As you can see, she shot through and made up a good 10-15 yards, ran right up to the wheel. And there's Carolina just sitting there making sure that, Holly and Kenna don't get off the front. They're definitely strong enough that it could have been lights out right there. Yeah, so you guys, if you've watched my videos before, when it's 20 miles per hour, that somebody's about to attack. Anytime, you're in a P123 race and it gets down to 20 miles per hour, there's definitely going to be an attack. So I don't know the race yet because I haven't watched all the videos or anything. This, I throw on what I think is either interesting or significant parts of the race, but I don't actually get to watch it until I actually do the voiceover like now. So, but as you can see here, we're well represented now at the front. I think that was Audrey to the right, Jessie, and Anastasia. So you see, that's where Paige does the counterattack. Like I said, if it's 20 miles per hour, someone's going to attack. And that's Sarah trying to get to her wheel. And Paige is super strong. So I switched cameras here. This is Morgan's angle here. And Paige is super strong. So, like, she got that jump. And Sarah tried to jump on it immediately. But she got to within, like, I don't know. She was maybe 5 seconds back from Paige for like a good 2 laps, just trying to chase her and couldn't make up that last 5 seconds. Joy McCullough's going to launch in a second here and try to run it down as well. And kind of the same thing happened to Joy. She got out there for a lap and just kind of ran out of steam. And it's unfortunate because I just told Sarah that Joy's on her way. Work with Joy and the two of you would catch Paige. And unfortunately, Joy kind of, like waved the white flag before she got to Sarah and fell back into the group. So then I just told Sarah, hey, just fall back into the group. Like, it's early. I didn't know Paige at the time, so I didn't know how strong she was. So I told Sarah to abandon the chase, just being stuck in no man's land, and fall back into the group and, call for some reinforcements. So, and it was really helpful. Like I said, Sarah's been a blessing. She's new to the team. She's been with us for a couple months. That's Joy right there trying to go run it down as well. Sarah's still out there. But, yeah, she's been a blessing because a little later I'll point it out that, I don't think people were understanding my instructions from the side because Paige ended up getting like well over a 30-second gap. And just from the behavior of the peloton, I started to wonder, like, do they even know she's off the front? Because, I was yelling to my team, like, we got to go now. She's not coming back. Like, just with the cadence she had and, her breathing, all that kind of stuff, she wasn't coming back. that was just going to be a 40-minute TT to victory. So, of course, she would fade at the end just because it's a long time to be out there. But yeah, she wasn't coming back. So you'll see a couple laps here where everyone's a little sleeping a little bit and not knowing how strong she is. With, of course, the mommies are doing their job. They're going to be represented at the front now to run interference. So if you can see, they're staggered. It's one second wheel up there. There's one about fifth wheel. And then right here, there's another one, ninth, 10th wheel. That's what you do. And there's more reinforcements right there coming up. I don't know if that was Maria going up. That's more reinforcements. So, we do the same thing. And, of course, it's frustrating to people that don't have a team or, don't have a lot of numbers, or sometimes just don't have the tactical knowledge to, combat it. And not only that, sometimes people just aren't strong enough to combat it. So, yeah, they're definitely doing what they're supposed to do, and I saw it, and it's a recipe for disaster for us. So, I had to turn into, I don't know, I had to turn into the dictator that I say that I am, and I started yelling on the sideline, hey, we need to get up there. We need some representation, and we need to go now. You saw Jesse was trying to go on the left side there before that attack went off. So it was just kind of bad timing for her that she was moving up right when they attacked, and she kind of got stuck, not in no man's land, but she kind of got a little sneak attack to the left there. So she's trying to get on it now, close it down. Colleen's on her wheel. So also with this view from Morgan, I don't know if I don't think that I love this view. It was something I tried. She has my 360 camera on this time. If you've watched the video from last week or from the first CBR, it wasn't the 360 camera, so the view is completely different. The 360 camera just covers so much, of a field of view that, it kind of fisheyes the look just a little bit, and you can see her levers and her computer mount and stuff in the shot. So I don't think that's a look that I like, but somebody let me know what you think, if you like this or not, because if not, I won't put the 360 camera on her. I'll just use standard cameras from this view. The 360 needs to be higher, or it needs to be extended out from your bike. So if you see the Insta 360 mounts that stick out a little bit, that's why you don't see this view, because they're out in front of the bike. So there's Naomi right there, because the chase kind of stopped. It kind of stalled out. So Naomi tried to keep the chase going. Naomi's really good at that as well. She will not let it get down to 16, 18 miles per hour either. She will always attack if it's that low. So, and again, Paige is out there and I'm yelling. So, Paige is out there and I'm yelling. As you can see, the mommies are trying to shut it down still. I think they just missed Naomi's attack, but there is someone on it. And that's the thing, even when you have teammates, it's not easy. A rider can slip by, So you see PC flicked an elbow, kind of look back, and it's Morgan there. But I think at this point, I think Morgan, because, obviously Morgan's our sprinter, Morgan was more towards the back at this point when the original break took off. So, Morgan actually wasn't aware that we weren't represented originally. So, like I said, I'll point it out when it happens, but Sarah's actually going to come up to her and, kind of give her the scoop, because obviously Sarah's the one that originally tried to cover Paige's move. Yeah, so you can see, obviously PC's really smart. She's not going to do any work in this. She's not going to try to chase her teammate. Sometimes people are just, I hate to say it, but sometimes people are just a little selfish, and I've seen it time and time again where teammates have ran down teammates and they end up not winning the race. And that's one of the things, you kind of, even if you think you can win, you got to give your teammates opportunities sometimes. So this is it right here where um, Sarah tells Morgan, she's gonna tell her like, "Hey, that's a mommy up the road, and we're not up there. That's not one of us. It's Paige up the road, and she has I think she tells her she has like a 25-second gap. So of course, I'm trying to rally the troops. Then Morgan's gonna try to rally the troops, and then of course Morgan's gonna kind of take matters in her own hands and kind of take off. So there's Anastasia moving up as well. But like I said, it's a little casual right now because I think we had a little bit of confusion going on. So we're not actually chasing. Holly goes and launches the attack there. And Holly's smart as well. Like, Holly's solo. She doesn't want to chase. She's going to bridge. She doesn't want to chase. Same with our sprinter. Like, I don't want my sprinter really chasing. Either you bridge or we got to call in the troops to run it down. So good job by Jesse too to get on this. Anything that we can use that a teammate can cover and save some legs for the end, that's to our benefit. And like I said earlier, PC's smart, so she knows who to go with and who not to go with. Holly's someone you have to go with. So this kind of sets up nicely for us. You see Jesse's up front here. Holly's kind of slowing it down because obviously, like I said, she's gonna bridge. She doesn't want to drag people with her. None of us do, So Kenna gives it a shot here, tries to pick the pace back up. And you can see, I think that's Naomi covering it this time. You see two mommies. Obviously, they want to disrupt it. They don't want us running it down, and they don't want a coordinated effort to run it down. You got to kind of disrupt it as much as possible. And for the newer riders out here, when you see people blocking or running interference, they're not actually blocking or interfering with anyone. It's just a term that we use, but you're not actually deviating your line. You're not trying to get in someone's way. You're simply positioning yourself in the chase group that kind of demoralizes the chase. So yeah, that was Naomi covering that move. A great job by her. Other than we're not represented yet in the break, but we definitely don't want, like a Kenna or Holly or Colleen going in the break, or PC, which of course it's not going to be PC on her own right now because that's her teammate up the road, but we don't want one of those strong riders getting in the break without us. So if you see here, I think this little gap opens up and that gives Morgan a window. This gives Morgan a window here to take this opportunity. So Morgan just launches here, and you can see she just tipped out. She just redlined her power meter there because you need that gap. You need that separation. So as you can see, Holly had so many people on her. Kenna had people on her. And Morgan took advantage of that now because the people had just covered Holly's attack and Kenna's attack. And Morgan's counter here gets her a good separation. And the power she puts in on this chase is insane. So as you can see, this started with the 5-second spike at 1,000 watts. Then another 10 seconds at, 350 to 380. And then she kind of just settles into a TT mode. And I think she keeps her numbers for the most part. She keeps it between 250 and 300 throughout most of this chase here. So this is just an incredible effort here to bridge. Yeah, and it was a pretty good distance at the time that she bridged to. I want to say I was giving her the time split, and I want to say it was maybe 30 seconds at the time that she decided to try to bridge. 25, 30 seconds, somewhere in there. So on this downhill is the only place where I think she takes a little breather, dips the power down just a little bit. Obviously, you have momentum, so you don't need to kill yourself here. You can use a little bit of the free speed to take a breather. She's hitting some pretty good apexes. If you see her hand position, she's not touching her brakes. She's not touching her brakes at all. Just shifted right there to an easier gear to get up the hump here and to keep a good cadence. But, you know, on that downhill, I see people braking like no matter what, even if there's no one in front of them. And often people will stop their pedal. You don't need to suspend your pedal. This is a really wide course. If you take good angles and hit a good apex, like, you don't have to stop pedaling, and you don't have to touch your brakes whatsoever. So again, if you see her hand positions, she's not going to touch the brakes at all going through these corners, and her pedaling is not going to stop. She's going to free pedal through every single corner. No brakes here. Good apex right there. Carry your momentum. Stand the bike up as soon as possible. You want to be leaned over as little as possible to carry momentum. I know it feels good to like feel like you're leaning your bike far, but it's not good to carry speed that way. You want to turn fast, but also have your bike leaned over as little as possible. The straighter your bike is, the more traction, harder you can pedal. Yeah, so again, look at the power Morgan's maintained on this little, I shouldn't say little, but on this dig, and you can see Paige now in the distance. So now that she has that carrot, and I told her to just keep it steady, you're going to get there. I had no doubt she was going to get there. I just didn't know what she would have after she gets there. And I didn't know what Paige had. I didn't know if Paige was managing the gap right now, or if she even knew Morgan was coming. So I didn't know if Paige had another gear and was going to take off, before Morgan got there to kind of keep her in no man's land. But yeah, Morgan was making up the difference between the gap pretty fast here. I will say too, that's one thing I noticed too about the 360 camera is the stabilization is not as good as a regular camera. It still has stabilization, but it's definitely not as good. You have a little bit more vibration here. So as you can see, she's pretty close to Paige now. It's probably just about a 4 or 5 second gap. Started at 25 to 30 seconds. And that was just basically 2 laps ago, maybe 2.5 laps ago. And what's so impressive here too is Paige has been out there for a while. So obviously she's fading. She's been out there for, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes already, 20 minutes, something like that. She's been out there on her own for a good 10 laps already. So when Morgan catches up here, she tells her, hey, work with me, please work with me. So Paige kicks in, jumps on her wheel, and, they try to work together for, the next couple laps or whatever. And Morgan just keeps on hammering through too, which is the right thing to do. She has a good rhythm right now. You get a good rhythm with your breathing and your cadence. And yeah, you're almost like on a runner's high, and she just keeps going. So she didn't want to stop her momentum and regroup or anything. Like, you just keep going. Keep your body efficient. Keep your legs working efficient. Your body's processing all the oxygen and lactate and everything. So just keep it moving. Again, no breaks through any of the corners, just nice, good angles, nice apex, keep going. You see Paige is willing to work as well. I think, though, Paige is at a disadvantage here, too, though, because her rhythm wasn't Morgan's rhythm, because obviously Morgan caught up. So now Paige was out there early in her own rhythm. Obviously she faded a little. Morgan obviously was going faster since she caught her, and then Paige now has to kick into like a high gear again. It's pretty hard to do. It's almost like, getting a flat or whatever, and then you got to go stand around, get your bike fixed, and then try to catch the peloton as they fly by. So yeah, I switched over here. You're gonna see just from what's going on in the peloton while all that's happening on those 3 laps. There's Morgan right here getting ready, and she launches there. And you can see like Anastasia is there to the right, so there was no one that was going to cover there. Holly had just done an attack, so she's on the left. Kenna had just done an attack, so they were kind of slow to react to it. And as you can see there, Morgan already has like a 3-4 second gap. And then you got some of our girls there trying to slow down the pack. So yeah, it just allowed Morgan to get a pretty good bump there. And then you'll see in a second, our team doing what they're supposed to is just trying to combat this a little bit and let Morgan get her gap even wider. As you can see, Anastasia is right there covering moves and covering the chase. Felicia slips away here, and Felicia talked to me after, and she's like, yeah, I chased it for a second, and then she was like, yeah, I'm going to fall back in. Like, I'm not going to chase it by myself because nobody was behind her. So she just kind of sat up, and then Elisa comes by here, but I believe Elisa has Jessie on her wheel here. So Jessie's covering this move too the entire way. You see Elisa's looking back over her shoulder. Elisa told me after the race too, she was like, every time I look back, for somebody to come through, there's a black jersey there. So, and she knew it was us, she knows how we did it and stuff last year as well, and the things that we work on. So she said, congratulations. She was impressed. She was like, yeah, you guys really worked well as a team. And, she knew when she saw Jessie there, it's like, I either have to drop Jessie or, someone else has to come around her. And there's Jessie there. I think originally Jessie thought it was just her and Elisa, so they thought they could bridge to Morgan. So Jessie actually puts in a little effort here. And then she's going to get off of it once she sees that there's like a bunch of people on her wheel, on Elisa's wheel now. But that was a great job by Jessie covering that. And just sitting up here, because if you saw, Morgan was just in front of them, and she's going over the hill now. But as Jessie, that gave Morgan like a couple more seconds to be able to get away there. And of course, now you see Melissa going, and then Colleen going. So yeah, that was actually a pretty good little cushion that Morgan needed there to get separation, because if Elisa had help and would have just caught Morgan right there, that bridge attempt is over, because Morgan's not going to drag everybody up there. That bridge attempt would have been over because it just wouldn't have been coordinated. And as you can see, you have Courtney here trying to run interference again, just trying to slow people down. One, trying to slow people down, and two, obviously they don't want Morgan to get up there to Paige either. And the group again regroups here, and they're catching Morgan actually. They're catching Morgan, and if I remember correctly, they got within like 5 or 6 seconds of Morgan here. But I can't remember if it's Anastasia or Sarah, or if it's going to be Carolina that kind of comes back right now to contribute to slowing the group down again. And as you can see, the field is shattered now. The field is shattered. Morgan's already set in her zone in TT mode. You see Holly comes up now. She knows it's dangerous, so she's trying to run it down as well. This group kind of waved the white flag a little bit. As you can see, there's PC right there on Colleen's wheel, so Colleen basically has no help there either, because obviously, like, PC's not going to pull. And I believe that's Morgan just right there. So see how close they got to her. So one, that effort by Jessie helped extend that lead a little bit, and then they pulled it back a couple seconds here. But again, we got some of the girls fighting their way back up to the front to just, run interference again. And as you can see how the chase kind of dies out. Once the chase dies out like this, like that gap just gets big fast. Like I said, they're a couple seconds behind Morgan, and as you can see, like you can barely see Morgan in the picture now. So once the chase sits up, it multiplies really fast once you sit up. And the same thing happened when Paige went off. When Paige went off, she had like a 10, 12-second gap. Once the group sat up, it went to 25, really quick. And when Paige was out there, I was basically running the stopwatch on every one of her laps in the gap. So definitely new. This is Camilla here. And again, Elisa already was kind of chasing, so now it's kind of just disorganized, And there's Sarah right there. Like I said, Sarah was up there trying to run interference. Anastasia was there trying to run interference, and we're definitely going to slow it down. We do not want them catching Morgan, especially another sprinter. I mean, to be honest with you, it'd be okay if it was someone that wasn't a sprinter, just because then, of course, Morgan would have more help up there or whatever, and then she could still out sprint, the average person. So yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a lull here, and this hurts. This lull hurts here because that lull hurts, and Morgan just probably doubled her gap at that point. So there's Holly again giving it another attempt. You can see the legs are tired now. Most people's legs are tired. Everybody trying to jump on that had a slightly slower reaction. There wasn't as much snap in the legs now as it was, 5-10 laps ago. And these are some really big efforts. And like I said earlier, it's windy. This is not like, it's warm. It got up to about 80 on this day, I believe, but it's pretty windy. So, these efforts with the peloton stretched out like this, they were hard. They were very hard efforts. As you can see, there's some very strong riders just sitting up, Yeah, it's just a very hard, like, anaerobic session. It's a great job by Ashley here, trying to run back and just get to this front group here. And you can see, like, just from her body language, like, it's not easy. It's a hard effort. She's trying to flick an elbow as well. Elisa comes by. So it's not like girls aren't willing to work. It's just, at the beginning of the race, the mommies were kind of disrupting the chase, and now our girls are trying to disrupt the chase as much as they can. And it's not easy to do. This is dangerous here. See, you got Kenna, you got Holly, I believe. I can't see who's in the front up there. I thought it was Colleen for a second, but Kenna, Holly, you got Elisa here, and I can't see who's on the front there. But yeah, this group is dangerous. It's a fast group of women. We don't want them catching. I didn't see. That might be Kira Rogers. I couldn't see who it was, but it had a blue top. The person had a blue top, so. But yeah, Kenna's giving a good dig here, trying to keep the momentum and keep the chase alive. She flicks an elbow. Elisa comes through. Lisa's putting in a pretty good effort here, mid 300s, mid and low 300s. She now flicks. There's Holly coming through. So yeah, this chase is pretty organized so far. And I know Carolina's trying to get back up there. I was yelling at the top of my lungs. I was like, we need you. You got to get there. I know the power that Carolina has. The other girls have power too, but, Carolina has that, like, extra gear. So I was like, hey, we need you right now. Like, you got to get there. So, yeah, Kenna goes by again. The rotation kind of fell out a little bit here. But their speed is still pretty good. They still have decent momentum. But you can tell Morgan is gone now. Like, she's not in sight at all. Morgan's gone. but the work's never over, and that's one of the thing. Like, if you're working either for yourself or for a teammate, it's long. It's a long effort. It has to be committed. Like I said, Carolina was trying to recover, and sometimes we can't. you know, you got to recover from the pack. You can't recover at the back. If you go to the back to recover, especially in a larger field, this is only 40, but some of the fields will reach 60, 80, over 100 when you're doing some of the national races, and there's no way you can go to the back. You can, but what I'm saying is if you go to the back and it gets stretched out like this, it's a long way back to the front. And there's no telling like when it's going to slow down. And if it's something like Tulsa where the roads are fairly narrow, like a 2-lane road, yeah, sometimes there's just nowhere to go to begin with once you move so far back. So as you can see, the speed is only 24 miles per hour, but you can see they're doing 250 still in the draft, 250 to 300 watts. So they're still putting in hard efforts, but like I said, it's a fairly windy day. I think I'm going to start bringing a flag and plant it somewhere just so we can get a wind indicator. There are flags there, but they're out of camera view. So yeah, it's only a 3-person rotation now. It's really Holly and Kenna doing most of the work. Elisa's jumping in there here and there. And, there's a 4th person every once in a while. I think it might be Kira Rogers. Yeah, I think that was her in the other blue kit, the other kit with the blue top. But she's kind of new to the scene out here, so I don't really recognize her yet. But yeah, it has to be completely organized. If it's not completely organized with a smooth rotation, then that gap is getting bigger each time. So there's Melissa Haley here. Like I said, it needs to be like the same 4, 5, 6 people, and you're not really going to get more cooperation than 6 people. When the group's too big, it's really hard to organize and for people to commit. That's why large breakaways hardly ever work as well, just because all of the riders aren't doing the same. They don't have the same level of commitment. So Elisa tries to give it another dig here. It's a really good effort. She, really gets the power up going up this hill. And I think Carolina was there to kind of shut it down. You see Melissa comes back through, and there's Carolina right on her wheel. So, this is super important. And, Morgan is one of our big guns, so she's going to get the accolades, and she deserves it also. She puts in a lot of work, but she also shows some good leadership for us and some good support for her teammates. But these efforts by her teammates, they actually help a lot. People don't give the teammates credit as much as they should, but trust me, if the teammates aren't here, the race is completely different. Yeah, and all of you guys know these girls here are fast. These are some girls that with a lot of experience, raced on some national levels, and obviously if they had their team here, we'd be in trouble too. Like, good teams stress the field all the time. Good teams put stress on the field. So yeah, you see Kat's in the mix now too for the first time, like in the rotation up here on the front. But as you can see, like Kenna and some of the girls that have been up here for a while, they're hurting a little bit. It's not that they can't do the effort, but there's a little less sting in their legs because they've been up here for a while, and some of the other girls weren't rotating through or whatever. So that's going to get old really fast. They're not going to just drag everybody up, for free. They have to contribute. But all of it, like I said, is easier said than done. And there's Holly with her bridge attempt. And you can see, same thing. Holly knew everybody's a little fatigued. That wasn't going to go anywhere. So there she goes. She snaps, gets a big gap there. And, she's trying to bridge. She knows it's late now. There's only X amount of laps left in the race. And so Holly sells out now. She has to get there, basically. It's either get there or blow up, you know? And as you can see, there's is that PC? Yeah, there's PC like right back on it again. Because again, she doesn't want Paige to get caught. Even if Morgan's up there with her, that's still first and second, you know? One of them gets first, one gets second, and she'll take that chance. She doesn't want everybody getting there. And if they do get there, they have to take her with them so they have another chance. Same with us. If more than one person gets there, or even if Holly gets there, we want 2 people there. So again, Elisa's been here for a while in the top like 4. So obviously she's not going to have a lot of steam left, you know. And it's these 3 here too. Colleen, Kenna, Elisa has been there. And so that was a great job by Carolina right there. As you can see, she launched from the back. She launched offline, caught Colleen and them by surprise. And, you know, I know people didn't know who Carolina was really, but of course everybody knows now. It's 2 weeks in a row that she's displayed like just incredible power. So as Holly and Carolina are chasing here, I don't have any camera shots of them anymore from that angle. So I switched over back to Morgan. And this is the last 5 laps here. So this is the last 5 laps. It's $100 premiums on each lap. And at this point, you know, I don't know if Paige was playing possum, but I don't think so. I think she was genuine. Like Paige has been out there for about 35, 40 minutes already. So I think her legs were just cracked, and Morgan pretty much pulled like the last, I don't know what it was, 8 laps or something. After catching, Morgan pretty much pulled like the last 8 laps. They worked together for a second, and then, you know, Morgan begged for a spell because she was dying, Paige was dying, and they knew Holly was coming. They didn't know Carolina was coming yet, though. They knew Holly was bridging, trying to bridge, and she was within so many seconds. I think she was within like 6 seconds for a while. 6 or 8, I can't remember. But yeah, I think at a point, you know, Paige had been out there so long, she just wasn't able to pull through anymore. And as you can see, Morgan's been out there for a while now too, and she's still putting in good numbers. Like I said, she's still putting in basically 250 to about 300, and just kind of keeping it smooth, rolling through every corner, no brakes, good angle, good apex, not overcrowding herself, not turning too tight. We don't want to turn too tight. I'm yelling to her there. That was me stepping into the road, letting her know that Holly's coming. She's not there yet, but she's coming, so, you know, stay on the gas. So I think we're going into 4 laps to go now. And if I can catch it, if I can remember where it's at, I'm going to just be quiet. You guys will probably like that. I turn the sound back up, and I'm going to let you hear the last lap just from Morgan's perspective, and the commands to Carolina, stuff like that, and just the competitiveness of the women that's in that 4-person break, but also the respect and camaraderie that they display. I just think it's awesome, and I think, like I said, we need to build on all this momentum and just keep it going. So yeah, this is where Morgan's like, hey, can you come through? And of course, Paige told her, like, yeah, I'm hurting. It's a little hard, but yes, I can come through. And she tells her that Holly's coming. Paige is giving a really strong effort here, too. As you can see, if Morgan's doing, you know, she was doing 250 in the draft, basically, Paige is doing a really good effort here. I don't see Holly's shadow yet, so I don't think she's there yet. But she's definitely coming. I think this is with 4 to go here. So Paige takes, this is the second preem. Yeah, then Morgan comes back through. So that was a very good pull from Paige. You know, a good 1 minute, 1 minute and a half pull gives Morgan a little bit of a breather here. And again, that's significant too. That breather is significant. All of it plays into it when you know you're going to have to sprint. Yeah, definitely good power numbers. Very good power numbers after this, you know, basically a solo bridge to get here. Then after getting here, going straight to the front, you know, working with Paige for a couple laps. And then, you know, when Paige is, you know, less able to work or whatever, then Morgan just kept the pace going for the next X amount of laps. So I think Holly catches about now, somewhere about now, maybe one more lap. I can't remember. But I tell Morgan that Carolina's coming also, that Carolina will be there in a second. She was just, you know, I knew Holly was going to catch them. So basically Holly's hunting down the, you know, Paige and Morgan, and Carolina's hunting Holly. And I think Carolina was going faster than anybody at that point. And obviously because she caught everyone, so. So yeah, after this lap, I'm going to turn the sound on so you guys can hear the last lap and just hear the teamwork and all that stuff and the encouragement, just the leadership of it. And, you know, I really appreciate Morgan as well. She joined us last year, and, you know, she's been a great teammate and stuff as well. So. But yeah, as you can see, like, this is just definitely a really hard-fought race, hard-fought effort. And so, yeah, Holly's with them now. And I think Morgan wanted Holly to come through. And, you know, Holly just got there. So Holly's smart. She's not gonna just bridge and then go straight to the front, you know. So, you know, she's sitting on Morgan's wheel right now. And Morgan knows Carolina's coming. I told Morgan when she passed by, like, Carolina's coming. She's going to get there. You'll have help. And so Morgan knows right now that Carolina's there as well. So, yeah, I'm going to be quiet and let you guys hear this last lap. And thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.
Looks like the final race.
Okay, go! so